Crowbar Gym, Fitness Evolution. The real high intensity is here. Stop wasting time.
Even if they were sort of unhappy with how things were going, then we have this big COVID thing go on where you can't see family, you can't be around people that you love. And it's funny with the connection and people being on the internet, you think that would be enough, but then the rug is swept out from under you, and all of a sudden you realize that your world has changed significantly. And we always talk about, you and I always talk about on a personal level, you know, people are okay with change, but they're not okay with being changed. So when their lives are upside down, or, you know, it's a tough pill to swallow for most people. Mm-hmm. So they put everything on their back burner. They actually put themselves on the back burner to try to take care of everyone else. And that ends up hurting them in the long term. Okay. This is the time right now when we sit and we talk to you and we say, this is the time to reinvest in yourself, regardless of what it is. If there was one good thing that came out of this pandemic, is that people had to sort of reinvent themselves and figure out other ways of making money, other ways of keeping their businesses going and up and running. And that's what I hope to do with you guys. I want to follow my own dreams, and I don't want to give up on anything. I'm not going to show you how to make money. I'm not going to show you, you know, how to make a ton of money and be well. I want to show you how to live your best life and what's important to me. And through my writing, if you could take something out of your writing and it inspires you just a little bit, I feel like I've done my job.
Yeah. So you're gonna say some of read. Actually, you're gonna read some of your poetry to us.
I will, and I think it would be a really fun exercise for us to dissect it word for word. Excellent. And to see if you've gotten anything out of it and what you think it actually meant when I actually wrote it.
This is what I've noticed too. Like when I've gone back to books, older books, I've read them when I was a kid, and I read some of the ones, even some of the ones that I thought weren't important. Right, I've gone back and I go, oh, let me read this, and I skim through the chapters and I go, it's really perspective. So like things are going to liberate themselves or illuminate themselves later on. So like I'm gonna say certain things probably today, and then when I read it later, my mind would be more. It's gonna be in a different construct. So I'm like, well, I never thought that you were trying to relate this to me, right? So I found that to be a thing that I've noticed because I'm doing more meditations and being more aware, and you know, and that brought me back to like, you know, it's a lot of people, they get it really wrong when they're making money. It's really not about that. It's about energy, and that's one of the things I've learned. It's kind of like the energy that you put out, and it's going to come back and receive. And then tell us about your brand, because I'm really curious about the brand. You haven't even. I have the logo. I actually don't have the logo here, but maybe we can put it up later. I'll put it up when you give it to me. I can just put it up as a thing, as a banner. But tell me about your brand.
Okay, so Wayne Brosh is the brand. I've been in the fitness industry for 30 years, and I want to come up with a new stylish line of clothing that has words on it to inspire people. So if I take my piece of poetry and I give you one line out of it, and you want to read the rest of the poetry, there'll be a little bit of a Q code or something that you'd be able to take a picture of on your phone and figure out who we're all about as a company and how we're trying to give back to the community and just make the world a little bit of a better place. People, you know, everybody talks about living in the moment. Mm-hmm. How many times do you hear about living in the moment? It's great to live in the moment because we don't know what's going to happen 30 seconds from now. But at the end of the day, I'm more concerned as a brand and as an individual and a human being to make moments, make these memories. I have 3 of everything. I don't need anything in my lifetime, but I'll always remember that one time I went with my kids to San Diego when we spent a great weekend. That's really what should be the core of everybody's foundation, is making memories, having a few laughs, and, you know, just living your best life. Doing what you want, when you want to do it, with whoever you want to do it. So that's really what my poetry is inspired. Some of it's autobiographical, I guess, but some of it is just an everyday person struggling with everyday life and how you can work your way through it and work your way out of it. So if somebody looks at my poetry and it does something for them and it motivates them to take that next step to be better, individually, That's really what the game and the focus of the book was all about.
Yeah, because you have a book and then you have a clothing line that's going to go hand in hand.
Well, one person reads a book, they tell somebody about it. Maybe we come up with some creative development where we have a book and a shirt that they could purchase for a discounted price. And then before you know it, everybody's onto it, and everybody's, I don't want just to make my website about selling books or selling stuff. I want it to be a resource for people to go to when they're not feeling like themselves, when they're searching for something better in their lives. That's what this eventually the end game for Wayne Brush as a company is going to be.
And you're when we look at your logo, it's a brain, right? It's like a brain. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And what inspired you that?
So the brain, it's a brain, the logo, but around it it says think outside the box.
That's true. I remember that.
Yeah, everybody could think conventionally. Everybody could follow the herd and think about what everybody else is. Everybody could watch Fox News and believe in Democratic or Republican parties. But I mean, have your own mind, have your own thoughts, and be a pioneer in any industry that you want to be in, and good things will happen.
Do you feel lately like people have kind of lost their critical thinking, their way?
100%. But I think most of the time people are afraid to rock the boat. Most of the time people are okay, but it's funny. The people that we envy are the people that are taking that step and being fearless to get there, right?
Correct.
Everybody wants to have a body like Kim Kardashian. So they put themselves in debt in order to do cool sculpting or liposuction. Make fun of that woman all you want, but she's got how many million followers?
Exactly.
So
I've heard people say she doesn't do anything, and let's go, are you sure?
Yeah, right.
Because she does.
I actually, when you say doing things, you mean like cosmetic surgery and stuff?
No,
like
I think I don't know too much of her business, but like a lot of people kind of look at this, different industries and stuff like that, and they mean certain things that people do. For example, like you do sales, you've done sales before, right? I own a gym, and at the end of the day, I always tell people who are trainers, I always said, you're in the business of selling yourself. And people get really weird about money. They get really weird about selling themselves, about selling their ideas, because that word is like bad. And it's like, no, it's about technically building. I always learned building rapport, right? Building a concept, an idea, and then helping them what they want to do. You're not tricking anybody. And that's another thing too. Like when I got into it, I used to tell you this all the time, and that's why I like you so much, because you actually believe in a lot of the things that you do. I've seen a lot of people out there who sell whatever under the sun. They don't believe in it. And the things that they do sell they're actually the things that they really like, that's the stuff that they really sell better.
Right. Well, listen, at the end of the day, everybody needs to make money in order to live, or everybody needs to make money in order to do the things that they want to do, like we've been talking about. But I mean, me selling something I can't get behind is really me being a phony.
Yeah, and that's unethical at the end of the day.
Yeah, right. So I could sleep, and everything I've ever sold in my life, I could rest my head at night knowing that I did the right thing by the person on the other end of the line. This is what it's all about. The problem with most people when they have a good idea is they're afraid of rejection and they're afraid to fail. You have to sort of build this immunity to failure and look at it as a part of the reason why you're successful. The most successful people are the ones who fail over and over and over again. So how could we take a little book of poetry and touch people's lives in order to that, even if they're better for 10 minutes, that's a start, right?
Yep.
If they wake up every morning and they're miserable every morning, but they get something out of this podcast or by reading a poem, that's going to be a routine. And eventually that's going to take hold and it's going to be part of your routine, and you're going to get better and better. Just like everything else we do in life. You're overweight, you're 125 pounds, get to walking. If you could walk 500 steps at first, that's 500 more than you did yesterday. In 2 weeks, that'll become 3 football fields. In 2 more weeks, and in 2 more weeks, that'll be a mile. And by the end of the year, you'll be walking 5 miles a day and lose 100 pounds. this is what it's all about. It took you a really long time to get to the place, and you have to identify what you're unhappy about.
Correct.
The way you're happy is by identifying what you're unhappy about first.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So living in the moment is great, but what do we want out of life?
Mm-hmm.
What do we want out of life? This is the key. If you don't have a direction and there's no sail, you're going to just float off in the middle of the ocean somewhere.
What do you when you I'm not sure what you do. Do you do like goal setting? Do you meditate? Like, what's that first step for that person? Just something like quick, to kind of give them some value.
I think personally, routine is super important.
Mm-hmm.
So to give you an example, I'm up at 5 o'clock every morning. The first thing I do is read. And I swear, sometimes I go to bed that night, finishing off a part of a book from the day before and being excited to wake up. I'm up before my alarm all the time because I know that the next chapter I want to read, I know it's going to be really interesting and provide value for me in my everyday life.
Gotcha.
So I read and have a cup of coffee. It's the first thing I do. Then most of the time I'm out with the dog and I walk an hour. I don't even consider that exercise anymore. It's exercising my mind as well because I got a podcast in my ear and I'm walking.
You're like doing a walking meditation almost.
Yeah. And I watch the sunrise. You see, meditation is whatever you want it to be.
Exactly.
So some people enjoy walking. That is my form of meditation. It's probably more meditation than exercise.
A lot of people think they need to sit down and do all this introspective stuff. I learned some meditations along the way, and like exactly what you're doing is a form of meditation. It's just it's your mind being in a different construct. That's all it really is.
It's all part of being a creator.
Yeah.
Who developed the word meditation? You'd be able to tell me better than that, right? Who developed the word meditation? Mm-hmm. So somebody developed that word. That word just didn't drop out of the sky and everybody knew what meditation was, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
it really means observing yourself in a sense.
Right. Do we have to call it something else in order for it to take flight?
No.
Meditation is whatever you want it to be. That's time. To me, what is meditation to me? Time alone by yourself. And although I love my wife and I love my kids, at the end of the day, it's one of the best times of my day. When I'm awake before the world, I'm awake before the sun rises. It's pretty powerful to walk under the stars.
Definitely.
It's a totally different outlook on life and seeing things. So meditation is anything that you want it to be. Just like your goals in life could be anything you want it to be. By the way, let's go back to me writing this little book of poetry.
Let's do that.
It took me 30 years to get published. I want everybody to know this.
Wow, that's amazing.
I wrote a book back in 1994. I never got published. It's 2022, people. Mm-hmm. Don't ever give up. Don't ever give up on your dreams. It took me 30 years to get published. And here I am. And I could say, so when people ask me, what am I? I'm a salesperson. Yeah, but I'm an author.
Yeah.
I'm a father. I'm an author. Call me what you want. Don't worry about labels too much. But that's the other thing. People want to be defined as, do you want to be defined as Hansel, the guy who owns the gym?
Mm-hmm. No.
I don't want to even to be, even though it took me 30 years to be an author, I don't want to be defined as Richie, the author.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yep. I'd love to be defined as Richie, the guy who helped people, but I need a team around me in order to do this. And that's why we talk all the time.
It's true. We do.
Right?
So quick question here. It's a long time. What stopped you from publishing? What kind of the things that you decided, or when now that you're ready, like what's the difference?
Well, first of all, you have to have somebody to have interest in your work.
True.
So the first one was in front of many, many people. And interestingly enough, I haven't given up on that dream, but that's a long story. That'll take up too much of our time.
Okay.
I didn't give up on it, but the publishing industry has changed.
True.
So you had to really rely on somebody to offer you a traditional publishing contract. I had a choice between a traditional publishing contract and a hybrid, and I took a hybrid because I had more flexibility in terms of ownership.
Nice.
It is what I make it. I'm okay with accepting that responsibility. You're going to publish a book for me and advertise it all over the world, but I'm going to do the grassroots stuff starting in Arizona and work my way out of the country, out in America, and figure out how to make this work and how to affect. How many people do we have in America? 330 million?
Yeah, a lot.
So, I mean, it starts at home, because I don't like the current atmosphere of what we have going on right in our own backyard.
Okay.
So I'm going to start right where I stand, and then we'll see if we can help anybody else.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Yeah. So we'll see.
All right, you got that poetry for me?
Okay, so let's do one poem, because I don't want to really make this. I'm going to read you a poem.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me what your initial impressions are. And anybody out there listening, take a little notes, jot some notes down, and then maybe we can get in touch with you guys. And
definitely participate. Put it in the comments. I'm going to put this on YouTube, Instagram.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Yeah, I'd love to see what you think about it.
Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts. Hey, if you're a hater, go ahead, throw it on there too. I can do stuff with that too as well. Any information is better than nothing.
That helps the movement get stronger.
Exactly.
And actually, those are the people.
Your energy helps me.
Yeah, but you know what though, Hansel? All kidding aside, those people that are hating, I don't expect everybody to enjoy the book, but those are the people that we want to help the most.
Correct.
What's bothering you? What caused you to act that way? Not to squash somebody's dream, but why are you feeling the way you're feeling?
Correct.
Unless it's your honest opinion, tell me what's wrong. Maybe we could work it out together. Right?
I find that the people who are triggered are usually the ones that need the information more.
If the person is triggered, it might be something that happened in their lifetime and they need help.
Exactly.
So how could we help them? It obviously triggered something, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Definitely.
So if it triggered something, how could I help you be better? I'm here to provide an ear, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So the one poem I'm going to read for you today is called Rap Game. Okay. It goes like this. Open water, you thrill me like lollipops in lingerie. Not knowing what lies beneath keeps drawing me back. Like a thirsty horse to water after a steady gallop, his search typically ends wet and longing for more. Is it the curiosity of what lies underneath, or is it the escape from doing everything right for so long? Do we long to participate in someone's maiden voyage, or rely on charted waters with cloth torn and tattered? All is not equal, not the body of water or the bodies underneath its wrapper. These are the tides of your life. Drop your anchor or drift away.
I like that. It kind of reminded me of being I was in the Marine Corps, so it kind of reminded me of like an adventurer kind of going off onto an adventure. And it definitely had a sailor theme to it, so that's kind of like, I was in Iraq, so it was a little bit different. But see, I'm getting into my old adventure days, right? So I think that unknown is really nice. It really kind of puts a perspective into it, but it also kind of gives you that fear that you need, right? So that's it's actually interesting how it brought that up. Actually, I like that.
Well, you see, this is exactly what I want this to be. What you just said just made me really happy. And in fairness to you, like I mentioned to you, if you looked at it and you read it 5 times in a row, it might mean something totally different. This is based on you hearing it one time. But I'm going to actually talk to you about what motivated me to do this. I'll make it quickly, but I'm going to go every line, and we'll talk about it.
Sounds good. Open
water, you thrill me like lollipops in lingerie. I was sitting in the middle of a little bay in Belmar, New Jersey. I was in a kayak, and I had my phone, and I was writing this as I was sitting there because I was inspired.
Nice.
Probably had a cigar in one hand and a fishing pole in the other. Not knowing what lies beneath keeps drawing me back. So I'm out in the water. I could be talking about it, the depth of the water, or not knowing what's swimming underneath me. Lollipops and lingerie. What's underneath lingerie typically? I'll leave it at that.
Mhm.
Like a thirsty horse to water after a steady gallop. His search typically ends wet and longing for more. Maybe he met her the first time, and maybe he got that first kiss, and now he wants to see her for a second date. Is it the curiosity of what lies underneath, or is it the escape from doing everything right for so long? He's not single. He's having thoughts of infidelity. Do we long to participate in someone's maiden voyage, or rely on uncharted waters with cloth torn and tattered? He's the kind of guy who wants to go after a girl with little experience. Or does he go back to old reliable, maybe his wife? All is not equal, not the body of water or the bodies underneath its wrapper. The pullback from the water and the wrapper. These are the tides of your life. Drop your anchor or drift away. So you're either going to stay with what you have, or you're going to take a chance and maybe cheat.
See, it makes sense why I thought there was a point in time where I thought I was going to stick around and do the old job I had, right? And that was like Old Faithful, right?
Yeah.
And then I decided, well, somebody at one point when I was deciding if I was going to stick it out in the Marine Corps, said to me, "This will be here for eternity. So if you ever want to come back after 100 years, you're more than welcome to, Marine." And my whole thing was like, well, there's a, I really like what I did, right? But it served this place. It had its time in my life. And then I decided to move and just get out and do other things that are just going to be, I wouldn't say better, because I would say they were just different challenges, and that's what they were, because they're both different challenges. But you could just tell you have that time in your life where you're technically just, you say, okay, this is Old Faithful, right? And you kind of have to make decisions on what, is best for you, right? And that's what I just did. But it's interesting how the way you explained it and what it brought in my head is a totally different thing.
Well, that's exactly what I want when I write everything.
No, that was perfect. I like that.
That's exactly what I wanted. By the way, that was not autobiographical.
No.
That was just me thinking out loud outside. But anyway, you see how it was different for you? This is definitely exactly how I want my writing to be. If somebody was saying, "What were you thinking when you went through that poem?" I'll tell you what I was thinking, but I don't want it to be like a lock and key thing where that's what you have to think.
Yeah, you don't want it to be a puzzle.
I want it to make your own. Yeah, I don't want to. Well, in a way,
here's a puzzle, and here it fits like this, and you see it. You want that person. You want that puzzle to be. You want that puzzle to be changing every time they put it out of the box. Every time.
I want that puzzle to be spread out across the table, and you have to put it together.
Exactly.
So you see how you can attribute that. That's calculated before I wrote that. So it could be multiple things. The important thing was it brought you to a place where you had to make a decision in your life.
I haven't thought about that in a long time. It's been a long time that I've thought about that time in my life.
Right. So, that could be one of two things. That could be the best thing that ever happened, because you might be able to say, life ain't so bad, or I made the right choice. Or it might spark you to say, it's 20 years and I'm still in the same place as I was. I have to do something. I have to take action.
True.
And we don't take action. But I look at the stage of my life. I'm 53 years old. You don't take action now. If you're really good at what you do, it's wonderful, and everybody has bills. But at the end of the day, would you rather live this life out, never knowing what might have been? If that's if that's what the kind of person that you are, and you're okay with that, that's amazing.
My thing, I always used to say this to people. I said, I wish I could have done is not in my vocabulary.
Right. Would have, should have, could have. There's another poem in there that's a would have, should have, could have thing. But we'll talk about.
And then also, I think people too, when you make a choice, you have to live with it. I think a lot of people don't get their heads wrapped around that either. It's like you made decisions, you made choices. You gotta accept them. Well, even if they were wrong, you have to accept them.
Yes.
And mind you, I don't really believe that. I don't believe that things are wrong. I think when, in a sense, well, there's a sense of like crime is different. Like, you know, when someone gets hurt, it's a little different story. But in
There's
the sense of
rules.
like you making life decisions on what you're weighing things out, I just sometimes don't believe that people are wrong in what they make a decision for. I just think whatever they had in that circumstance, the optics that they had and everything else, that's just what they had to do. I mean, I don't, yeah, I love how other people like, I would have never done that. And now it's like, you never been there. You never
Yeah.
sweated and bleeded. You never been through their stuff. You know, you never been. And also on top of that, you can't hold yourself up to that other individual, because the truth of the matter is that you have other life experiences. Maybe they weren't ready. They don't have that. They don't have the wisdom that you do.
Right. Well, listen, some people play by the rules
Mm-hmm.
of the game.
Yep.
And other people say it's only illegal it's only illegal if you get caught.
Yeah, that's
You
exactly.
can't be in the middle.
Permission, baby.
It's one or the other, right?
You gotta ask for permission first.
Yeah. You can't. And
No, you gotta just do it. Ask for forgiveness. That's what you gotta do.
yeah. Well, listen. And you know what? That's a common problem.
Yeah.
People don't ask for forgiveness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people don't believe in forgiveness. That's a big thing. Like, I believe in forgiveness.
Yes.
You know, there's nothing you can do to me at this point.
Exactly.
And anything that you've done to me so far, I let happen. I let happen because I continue to have you in my life. But I believe in forgiveness. Life is too short, right?
Exactly. Life is too short to hold grudges.
That's right. So.
Exactly. That was a great poem, buddy. I like that.
Thanks.
And so you're gonna have something like that right on the shirt, or
what
you're
I
gonna
think
have
I'm
like.
going to do is, look. So, like, I'll give you an example. I think I'm going to find my favorite line of every poem that I've written, and put "Open water, you thrill me like lollipops and lingerie."
I like that one. I'd be like, what does that mean? And they zap it.
Open water, you thrill me like lollipops and lingerie. I like lollipops and I like lingerie, right? But I'm sitting in the middle of a kayak. This is where I was. You see, this is where I have this powerful connection to what I'm doing. I remember where I was. I might have written this 3 years ago, but I remember exactly where I was. Right? And why didn't I give up? Why didn't I give up writing? Number one, I enjoyed it, but I'm a believer in, and I'm not overly spiritual, but the man upstairs putting it out there and saying everybody has a gift. We talk about this all the time, right? Everyone has a gift. Everybody out there has a gift. He doesn't hand it over to you.
No, you got to hone it.
He makes you uncover it. You have to find it. So I actually really did a deep dive into that. And then I was like, let's give my writing as an example, right? In the 8th grade, I wrote a poem. It's the only one to this day that I memorized.
Yeah, you've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? All it was writing for me until I decided to pursue actually making it my passion.
Yep.
I was just writing, and then I wanted to make it my passion. I had that sign in the 8th grade. It's still the only poem I remember. Then I wrote an actual book in 94.
Nice.
Put it down, had half of it in a box, picked it up again in 2009, and I finished that book. And there'd be times that I'd sit down at the table and I would write for 14 hours straight and just tell my wife, just leave me alone. It just came out of me, and I was like that.
You had that
news
spark.
reporter with the two fingers.
Just go with it.
Yeah, it never left me. I never stopped writing. It just poured out of me. Those are all signs. If you could identify those signs and pull them all together, look at your life. Look at this body of work that you've done. Look at these signs in your life that have led you to what your purpose is and what your purpose is in life. And that's the key to figuring it out. I don't care if you're 10 years old, 30 years old, 50 years old, or 70 years old. Many people over the age of 50 years old have really found what their true calling is. There's not an age. Don't put an age on it. Don't listen to what everybody says and say, I'm too old to start something. It's never too late. So there's our motivational speech for today. How do you think we did?
I think we did really well. You ever heard of, I think Earl Nightingale did it, the Strangest Secret? Have you ever heard of
it? I haven't read it, though.
I always listen to it every year. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
And there, you really pretty much summed up the strangest secret in a couple of words right there.
Remember how we were talking about the books
Yep.
that motivate you? We
Correct.
were talking about the other day Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
Yep, exactly.
That book was written in 1937. That book, if you read it today,
I took it out recently to see.
If you read that today, it still holds truth to what we're dealing with in 2022.
It's relevant, definitely.
Pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all of these influencers, they all have this one common thing. The last thing we'll talk about is Bill Gates
Yep.
and Warren Buffett were at the same conference, and they were being interviewed by the same guy at two different times, and he asked them one question: if you could think of one word that has made you successful, what is it? And they both said in separate interviews, focus.
That's true.
Focus. If we really, really want to go after it, it's not just going to drop into our laps.
Mm-hmm.
We have to go out and get it. So.
Excellent.
That's it. So I'm here to go out and get it. I want everybody to follow us.
Cool. How is your progress coming along? When are we going to start seeing your book? I'm going to put it on my shelves. Probably I'm going to get a couple boxes, hit the road.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm telling you, man, I'm down to helping you out with this.
That's going to be great, man. As soon as I get my first book tour on the East Coast, you'll be the first person I call.
Gotcha.
All
and
right.
then do you have a website yet for it?
Oh, it's going to be WayneBrosh.com. That's going to be the actual brand, and that's actually my pen name is Wayne Brosh. Mm-hmm. Wayne Brosh. The first book is Everything for Somebody.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
In other words, touch one person. I just want to touch one person. If I could point them in a positive direction, that's really what I write for.
Hey, I'm right here, man. I'm already rolling. I've been rolling for 4 years now.
So 2 people then.
Yeah, two you got to get 3 more. I'm already on your train.
That means I only have to.
I already got my golden ticket, brother.
I can't include my mom then, right?
You can. She's always welcome.
So I need 3 people. I just need 3 people then.
Excellent.
Yeah. I thank you for inviting me.
No, thanks. I'm glad you came on. Yeah, we've been playing tag lately, but that's good because you moved from Jersey, right?
That's right. I'm in Arizona now.
Yeah.
In the hot state, trying to just stay in the shade, man.
Perfect.
But good weather's coming around soon. You'll hear of me. Maybe I'll do an Instagram or something. You'll see me on the top of a mountain writing my next book.
Are we still doing anything with the what's it called? Because you got me all hyped up about pickleball.
The pickleball, I have a company coming out called Duel.
Uh-huh.
I really want to focus on my writing first.
Of course.
So I don't want to spread myself thin. I got to focus on one thing first, just like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates said, focus on that first because that's my passion. Pickleball, I love playing. I think it's sweeping the nation. And, we're both in the fitness industry. It's great exercise and it helps
tremendously.
People downplay the reflexes in pickleball. And, for people that are a little bit older, mm-hmm. That might be the difference between them T-boning somebody and saving themselves in an accident or something. That's
surprising. You can make people strong, but then their coordination, their balance, their eye and hand coordination, just mechanics, it just goes out the window. So it's one of those things that are important. I tell people, you probably, if I remember correctly, we always talk about the same thing. It's great they're exercise, but people are so fixated on losing weight and exercising. They're not living. They're not going out and living, and that's why I like your brand because it's like it's the brand that it's about living. It's like every time you talk about your brand or every time you talk about your stories, it's always about going out there and living your life. Getting that excellence.
That poem I just wrote has a memory attached to it. It has a moment attached to it. Mm-hmm. Read that poem out on a lake or on top of a mountain mm-hmm. with a book in your backpack. That's what it's all about. Maybe that'll inspire you to write the next great poetry book. Maybe that'll inspire you to do great things.
It'll be probably cool to do cards too. You ever seen those cards?
What, like a deck of cards?
Yeah, you deck of cards and you can whip them out and inspirational. It sounds crazy, but I guarantee you it would be something to do. A lot of people like that.
The calendar thing is a big one. Everybody likes to do the calendar.
Oh, yeah, exactly. We're doing like a mastermind right now. Isn't that funny? or masterminding.
This
If
is
anybody knows what that is, that's when you have people throwing ideas into a pot.
yeah, I like that idea. Actually, that's a good one. But yeah, just the one line, to get you to think just about anything, that's going to improve your life or make things better.
Mhm.
There's more out there. I know there's more out there. I refuse to just accept status quo and say I work 9 to 5. Like I don't need anything. I want to create moments. That's it.
Nice.
Nothing is promised, right? They say nothing is promised. I just want to create moments. I want my kids to come back to me and tell me about these trips that we took, instead of saying, no one's going to come back to me. My 7-year-old's not going to come back to me 20 years from now and say, remember that stuffed animal you bought me?
Yeah, exactly. This is a bunch of junk.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
I guess I might have felt different when I was 7, but now as a middle-aged man,
Mm-hmm.
I feel differently.
You look young for your age, brother. I gotta say.
I feel young.
We're gonna be doing a Prolon box soon together.
What's that?
We're gonna be doing a Prolon box soon together.
I want to do the Prolon box because I think it really resets me, and like maybe we can inspire a few people to get on board with that.
Exactly.
They always
talk about a 5-day mimicking fast, just in case anybody wants to know. I do it here at the gym. Richie's the one that introduced me to it, and it literally changed my the way I approach health. So mind opening.
Well, let me tell you something. If you really are looking and you're struggling with weight or just need a reset, go to the Crowbar Gym and get a box for yourself. I was 50 years old and I really twisted the screws on myself, and that put me in the best shape of my life. And I've never been out of shape. That's the key. That's the point. I did this box for 5 days and it put me in the best shape of my life. I still have the picture. I definitely sent it to you.
Yeah, you did. I gotta dig it up.
Yeah, I was in my yard. I was 147 pounds and I was leaned out like you wouldn't believe. Yeah. So it definitely works. And people really downplay the mental focus that it gives you and how great you feel after you finish those 5 days. The sense of accomplishment, not only in weight loss, but the fact that you made it.
What I liked about it is the behavioral modification.
Correct.
That's a big one right there. That's a big one. Behavioral the way you perceive things later on. It's very huge.
Yeah.
And I think a clear mind is very.
What do they talk about? Yeah, but what do they talk about? They talk about only doing that like a few times a year.
Yeah.
So listen, people, you go to Hansel and you get these boxes 3 times a year, and you only have to do 5 days. That's 15 days out of the 365 in your life. You can't do that. You can't put those drinks to the side. You can't put those 2,500 calories a day to the side for 15 days out of 365. Come on. Just to feel better, to look better and feel better and have your clothes fit better. Then you combine that with some of the exercise that he could provide, and there's no stopping you. And while you're there, pick up a poetry book.
That's right, and do it. So what? Now that you're now you are where you are. What have you been doing? I mean, because I bet the hiking out there is amazing. The lifestyle is amazing out there.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. I like to do this hike called Flatiron. Anybody who's on the West Coast, anybody in Arizona, I highly recommend Flatiron. It's about a 6-hour round trip, and I'll do that during the week. I'll do that a 6-hour round trip, and I feel like I get the cardio that I need for the entire week. I kid you not. If I do that 3-4 times, if I do that once a week for a month, my legs are like frog's legs, and I'm leaned out, and I feel absolutely amazing. The range of motion it provides you in your legs, without beating you up, is so wonderful that all the pain goes away, all the arthritis that you're experiencing, all those little knocks and pings and pulls, they all go away, and your body gets used to it and your body adapts. And after a few months of doing this once a week, not only do you feel rewarded by going up there and just sitting over a cliff and watching planes fly underneath you, your legs feel absolutely amazing, and it just provides you with such tremendous energy and inspiration. So there's my pick. There's my hiking pick for the week is
Nice.
Flatiron in the
Flat iron.
Superstition Mountains. When you come out and visit. I'll take you out there.
Yeah, man. I'm expanding the business now, so I'm getting
You're gonna
somebody to
come
work
to
with me.
Arizona. You're gonna sell me one of your franchises.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta come out there and get my mud moving and do other things.
Could I be your West Coast sales rep?
Yeah, of course, man. When I get another gym out there, it's gonna take it in the box.
All
Just
right.
drop it. Just like
All
drop
right.
it in the air. Like
All
this. It's gonna be an Iconics box. It's gonna move all around Arizona.
I hope that we inspired you today to just think of the world a little bit differently.
Yeah. Thank you very much for all the poetry and the wonderful time you spent here with us.
My pleasure.
Excellent.
Keep doing that good work, man.
Yeah.
Keep inspiring me every day to be better. Okay.
So we're gonna recap, right? So we got focus, right?
Focus.
Focus.
Focus is the key. Focus is the key. If you really want it bad enough, focus is the key. The other thing we didn't talk about is you got to have good people around you. That's why I keep Hansel around.
Exactly.
If you're nothing without a team.
Mm-hmm.
So have focus, build a good team around you, stay in your lane, focus on the things that you're good at, and have the other people fill in the blanks.
Routine too. You said routine.
Routine is super important. We covered a lot of ground today, didn't we?
We did. We always tend to do that. You know that.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. Yeah. We bounce off
routine,
each other really well.
Have a process. You also say and talk about that you have it's not meditation, but it's something like it. It puts you in the right direction.
Yeah. And by the way, I told you guys that I do a lot of reading. The reading helps me write. Interestingly enough, the reading helps me write. I'm not Shakespeare. I don't have a master's degree from Harvard. It's just if you want to do anything bad enough and you master your craft, good things happen.
This is a point to make. A lot of people believe or they think that you have to be some academic to be successful or whatever the case, or some professional or whatever. If you look at all the people that we idolize now, a lot of them were self-made. A lot of them had a little bit of something from some academia or whatever the case is, and they had great ideas and they just went out and took chances and they just explored,
As a matter of fact, I'm reading a book by Adam Grant right now called Think Again.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about all of the people who scored the highest, the people who got the highest grades and graduated with honors.
Yep.
Typically, when you throw them out into the business world, their brain doesn't function like that. There's no creativity there, and their brain doesn't function like that. They're more robotic in nature, so they don't come up with these great ideas. It's the people who are willing to put themselves out there and think outside the box.
Yeah,
they talk about NASA that way, where they were willing to take chances, like with those 2 shuttle crashes, and those in the 80s and the 90s. They were willing to take chances, even though they saw fluid dripping from a mask, somebody almost drowned, just to give an example, and foam pouring out of one of the engine chambers. They didn't report that, and they still went through with the launch, and it ended up killing people because they were afraid to delay the launches because of their reputation. They couldn't handle it. The fact that they would feel like a failure, and they were afraid of being ridiculed. So there was only one person. I forgot what the woman's name was. She was the only Ochoa, Alexa Ochoa. She was the only person who voted to delay the shuttle.
Wow.
And everybody else said go on with it, and it ended up causing 14 astronauts their lives.
Man.
So. But anyway, I hope we didn't